We're back here at the Good, the Bad, and the Geeky.
I know we're kind of tired.
I know, we're really tired. We've been talking Star Wars for the last few days, and now we're going to release it.
Yeah, I have not stopped.
Oh, jeez.
I had this whole theory on the color of kyber crystals, but you're not going to hear it.
Matter of fact, yeah, because that was on the off time, and then we're going to pick up with part 2 here. But before we get started with part 2, a little FYI to check out some of our pals that help make this show. They support the show in great ways. Pack Rat Comics, go to packrattcomics.com. Eisner Award-winning Pack Rat Comics. You're going to win the award once. Huge honor. Pretty great. I'm a big board game geek as well, and they have an awesome selection of board games. Like they have the new Ninja Turtle board game, Shadows of the Past, which is really awesome. They also have Ghostbusters in the I consider it a classic. Settlers of Catan. They even have all your different versions of Monopoly. There's other great games too, like Flux, Star Flux, Other Flux.
Capacitor?
Have you ever played Flux before?
I have not.
It's like the rules change with every card. It's very unique.
Gaming is kind of a blind spot for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it just not your jam, or is this not done a lot of it? Or?
I just haven't done a ton of it. I know there's even a Star Wars board game that's considered canon at this point.
I might have that game. We'll talk. We don't talk about. No. I don't have Command. I have Imperial Assault.
Okay, I think that might be too. I think both of those might be.
Okay, we'll talk about we won't talk about it in the main episode, but
let's talk about it while everyone else is listening to like the theme song.
There we go.
I never mentioned it again.
That is true. Yeah, there we go. So, oh yeah. But yeah, they have great board game selections. So for more information, go to packrattcomics.com. Also, we talk about Star Wars books a lot in this show, like the Aftermath trilogy. And you know what? I believe you can get the audiobook versions of those at audibletrial.com/goodbadgeeky. Or in Audible, but if you want to maybe download one of them to give it a try, audibletrial.com/goodbadgeeky gives you that trial, 30 days, get your audiobook, test it out. And then the little green comes our way, supports us here at the Good, the Bad, and the Geeky. And here,
hey Nick,
yeah.
As much as I'd love for people to get the Star Wars books, can I tell them what they should get from Audible?
Yes,
Lincoln in the Bardo.
Yes, yeah. I saw the interview with him on Colbert, and it was really good. Who reads? Is it the author?
Nick Offerman.
Oh God, yes. Okay,
with his wife,
Megan Mullany.
Yes, and Bill Hader.
I love Bill Hader. And that's a horrible impression. I'm sorry, but Bill Hader is amazing.
Go get that book on the Good, the Bad, and the Geeky, and send the money to Nick and the joy to the universe.
Yes, and get a great book out of it too. Right. I mean, I just remember I love Colbert, and they had a nice philosophical discussion about what the book was about in broad terms, and I was like, I want to read that. It looks it sounds awesome, and yes. I love that stuff. So Lincoln in the Bordeaux, right?
Bardo.
Bardo. Bardo. Write that down. Bardo.
I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
I think I say shit wrong a lot. I'm going to say that you are probably correct. I have problems with people's names, so you're good. Now, for the shit I do, as Nathan would collectively say, uteamandT.com. Check out the first 2 issues of Ultimate Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's pretty great, I think. As a matter of fact, eventually at some point we might do more, so just keep paying attention, reading that if you haven't read it, or just keep reading it if you've already read it and you like it, or, as Woosley would say, do it anyway. Also, Magically Unauthorized Misadventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle. Go to gbgpresentspod.com and check out the adventures of Bullwinkle and Friends. And, last but not least, we are part of the It's All Been Done Presents Network, or IABDP. And speaking of the IABDP, Andy Batt hosts an interview podcast called Today's the Day. In it, he speaks with local people of note, many of them from the Columbus theater community, like Eric here. Hasn't he spoken to you on there before?
Oh.
No, he had. Oh, Andy, what the fuck, man? Get on your shit. But he probably will not like that. No, Andy will probably dish it right back to me, as well. It'll be.
Yeah.
But in it, he speaks to tons of people from the local Columbus theater community. He also periodically goes on album adventures where he is challenged to explore an album for the first time by a friend or a listener who then comes and talks music with him. While it is currently on hiatus, now is a great time to catch up. Today's the Day is available on iTunes. It's all been done anyway, so check out iabdpresents.com. And I'll also throw out there, I think he posted the other day that he was thinking of working and bringing it back, and he might abandon the event album thing, maybe. So get them while they're hot, before they're They're no longer done. And
there's some good ones in there. There's I don't listen to the album ones as much, but I get the theater ones. There's some really good ones.
Yeah, again, I've been slowly integrating into the Mad Lab group. Again, I know faces really well, but I'm horrible with names. So, you were the guy that was with Shane and Seamus, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, Shane's I was like, I didn't have money for it, and also I don't think Mike Weaver wasn't doing the classes at the time.
When I was doing all the Monday night improv drill stuff.
Yeah, and I just remember Shane's you need to talk to Erik. And I was like, who's Erik? And I was like, is that the guy from that's what I'm saying, that guy. Or really, the only person I knew was Woosley.
Okay, sure.
Woosley, and that's all I knew, and maybe Colleen, but that's just because she's dating Woosley. Mm. So
engaged now,
and they are engaged. Yes, which is really awesome for them. Because the joke was, I always heard that will never happen. That's the joke. So it was nice to see that it was. Yeah. So
there's been a lot of jokes through Woosley. That's the problem. We've been at Mad Lab for a long time.
Laura is the worst, she's not the worst.
Well, we knew that right away.
We have Erik Sternberger here. Sternberger,
yes,
dear Jesus, fuck!
Yes.
God, the Sternberger effect.
Listen to part 1 to find out about the Sternberger effect.
Yeah. For more information, go to sternbergereffect.com. That's not a real thing.
We're going to put the little asterisk there in previous episode.
Yeah.
Marvel Comics style.
Yeah, and and we'll have a little page about it, and it'll tell you. As a matter of fact, not only that, it'll go 4 episodes back.
See episode 332.
Yeah. So, but we talk Star Wars, nonstop Star Wars, and this is continuation of that. And again, during the theme show, we're going to talk about the crystal stuff.
Oh yeah.
So
probably some other stuff.
Yeah,
the gaming
and the gaming for the game.
The game stuff.
Yeah.
That we'll never touch again.
Yes. So, while I bore him to death with board game stuff, after the theme song, write episode 333, continuation of Star Wars.
Excellent. As it's been publicized, the fate of Jar Jar is in the book.
Yes, I heard about that. Where he's a street performer,
basically. Yeah,
for that is actually a nice. That's probably the nicest thing they could do for. And then again, it is sad, but I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If it was me, I probably wouldn't have been as kind to him. Now, granted, I didn't hate Jar Jar. I didn't like how they did him in the movie. He was annoying, but I didn't hate him. I actually thought in episode 3, he actually was a huge character.
It made him a useful idiot.
It really was, yeah. And I think, but George screwed the pooch so bad with episode 1 that by the time we got to that moment, people were already they didn't care.
He tried way too hard to make him funny. They tried to pooch. He was this poochy. It's like that. He tried so hard to make you like him.
Well, yeah, and I get it too because in episode 4 or New Hope, Star Wars, you had the droids. And how do I replace the droids? Well, I can maybe put R2-D2 and C-3PO, but middle to the end. But we got to have the comic. Really, I was like, no, you don't. Actually, the fucking opening where it's Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, they got some good quips in there. They were actually pretty decent. We don't need Jar Jar Binks in that manner, or tone that fucker down. And you feel bad for the guy who played him a little bit too. Again,
poor guy.
Yeah, because he said he was actually very clinically depressed for years, and actually he's just I'm finally getting over it. I'm accepting my place in that.
You think this is your break. You think this is your thing.
It's Star Wars.
And it just gets yanked.
Yeah, so bad. I mean, all the extra Jar Jar Binks. For that reason alone, I think he is actually a hugely important character. I will say, I hate. I don't know if I said this on the podcast before. I do not like. That's not true. I like Grievous, but I think Grievous is mishandled horribly too.
That's what's I wish the original cartoon was canon, because then you understand where he came from and who he is more.
Right.
And then it's right before this, when he was escaping from Coruscant, kidnapping Palpatine, it's like he got his chest plate crushed.
Right.
There was that moment of the hammerhead Jedi who crushed his chest plate.
Right, and that's why he coughs. And
it's like, oh, okay, so we're seeing an injured Grievous. This isn't a guy who has been, injured this whole time and just asthmatic.
If you ever get a chance, I think it's still... I just remember, I thought was very laughable, is the commentary for Episode 3 is when Obi-Wan shoots him in the heart and kills Grievous.
Yeah.
There's a moment where George is like, this is really great because it's foreshadowing of what he's going to do to Anakin. I was like, really?
How? Shooting him in the heart?
Well, that he's half man, half machine, in that he is... There's still something man in there, living.
Sure.
And I was like, I don't get that at all, George. I don't get that at all, sir. I tried really hard.
I mean, they're similar?
Right, but you did not set that up well enough, too. And I was like, if that's your intention, like, Grievous should probably have been in Episode 1, and you see him get worse and worse and worse. Something like that, where show him why he fucking really hates the Jedi.
Right, I mean, that's like, as much, I guess they're the same as much as, like, an ice cream sandwich is a sandwich. It's like, I mean, yeah, technically.
You're calling it that, yeah.
It's a thing between two things.
I always...
hold it.
Some of the extra features on there are so cool. On any of those DVDs, where George was still involved, they're so cool. But the other times, just like a little bit of a delusional. Like, look, Spielberg might be in Spielberg land now, and that's fine. I still love Spielberg a lot. But like I think it was on Episode 1's the documentary. It's like a 3-hour documentary, and where you also see the wheels come off the rails. Like, everyone saw like an early screening of the movie with half the effects done, and everyone's like, oh, this isn't a good movie. And then George's like, well, we're already this far, we got to commit. Does anyone have any notes? And no one's like, it's great, George. But you can see Rick McCallum, no one's
oh, Rick.
Oh no, yeah, no one, yeah. And Rick is trying to bullshit his way through.
I like Rick.
But early on, very early on, the making of it, he goes, so I'm playing with some character ideas, and this is the droid. It's going to be a major force in the new Star Wars movies. And he's showing Steven, and he's like, and matter of fact, on this documentary, we're going to probably be on the... Would you like to direct Episode 1? And Steven, looks at the thing. He's playing with the robot because it's awesome. It's a toy. I love it. Yeah. Oh, I don't think I should do that, George. You're like, oh, awkward. It's one of my favorite, because it's a beautiful shot. The sun is setting on Skywalker Ranch. He's showing Steven's, it's a toy. I'm playing with it. And then it's like, I'm good. Maybe you should direct it.
That kind of the delusional stuff and how the stuff ties in reminds me a lot of what I didn't like about the old extended universe.
Yes.
It was somehow everything fucking tied back to Skywalker.
You don't have to do that.
It's like it's a whole universe, but like somehow everyone's story somehow had to tie back to this Anakin one guy once fought this, or this person was and it was like weird backstory shit. Like, they're telling the story about some other person. It was like, oh, and he once got into a bar fight with Han, and that informed his whole life. No, who did that? It's not even needed. Make it a random guy. Make him kill him. Give him actual.
Give him the problem is that everyone loves those other characters so much that in comic books, I love comic books, but you have to keep the story going. You sometimes. Well, I loved it. I never thought this way. When Dan Slott, who writes Spider-Man now, I love his Amazing Spider-Man run. And Bendis has said this too. When I started reading into how to write for comics, is that they don't do it as much anymore because the medium's changing a bit. But Slott grew up in the older way, which is first 2 pages you say all the characters' names that are in the book, and you got to do it subconsciously. If you do it too on the nose, the reader will pick up on it. And also you regurgitate the plot from the previous issue, so the new reader pick up the book and they know what's going on. And then by the end of it, you not only finish the story, that if there's any ties from the previous issue, you finish the story of this issue, and then you also set up the next part. Like, it's always the middle chapter of a book. And I was like, but I don't really look at it like that. Now, Bendis is a little bit, and also Marvel, they all are moving a little different. They have the title page that tells you what's the ongoing story. So they're slowly moving away from that because they're more big picture kind of stuff, which is fine. But I was like, that's fascinating. I would never have done. I just don't think about that when I read a book. So it's fascinating to see how they would Dude, I don't know why I got on that tangent.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry.
When they do that, though, it's like when it's like you got a whole universe, create your characters. Don't feel the need to tie everything back into. And it goes to what you said about how the Last Jedi story. Everyone wanted to tell the Last
Jedi. Yes,
it got to a point, especially with like some of the extended universe stuff, that like another Jedi that survived the Purge. Like, there's like 60 of them now. Why haven't they just bonded together and taken Vader the fuck down?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you might not be a Jedi anymore the way you do it,
right?
But you would have stopped Vader,
right?
Okay, well now,
and, you know that's when you throw. That's when you go all Killbot on them. They have a designated amount. Just throw bodies at it until they die.
Yes. Okay, so, all right. On that note, kinda. Do you believe Vader is the one who saved, purged, and was brought balance, or do you think it was Luke?
See, on that, I think Vader brought balance.
I do too.
Balance does.
You need Luke to do it.
I mean, it's that whole. It's like who do you listen to with news kind of thing. It's almost like he's got like the prophecy is to bring balance. Oh, you think, oh well, clearly that means he's on our side and he's going to balance out by getting rid of the dark side. That's not balance.
No, you kind of start. Yeah,
that took the universe down to a few. You got the Force sensitives that are always out there, and like the different races that are Force sensitive. That with us, I'm really looking forward. They just announced a new book today, or yesterday, earlier this week, I guess probably, called "From a Certain Point of View."
Sounds awesome,
right? They're getting 40. It's for the 40th anniversary of Star Wars.
Okay.
They're getting 40 authors together to each tell a story about one random background character in A New Hope.
That's awesome. And it's everything through that character's point of view.
Yeah.
I love when they do shit like that in anything. Yeah. Like, I remember fucking animated series of Batman would do stuff like that. They do, like, the kids would see, Batman and something like that. Oh, yeah,
when they did the Tales of the Dark Knight episode.
Tales of the Dark Knight. Or they would always do, I love shows that they do that where it's just a little bit of a different twist on that kind of thing. Always super rad when they do that. That is so cool.
There's a book, I'm trying to, just called Star Wars The Force Awakens Aliens, I want to say.
Okay.
Star Wars The Force Awakens Tales from a Galaxy Far, Far Away Aliens, which is a short book of like 6 or 7 or so short stories about background characters that are in Force Awakens. And it's amazing, but there's a story in particular that it's the Crimson Corsair.
I'm not familiar with that one.
He's the guy who in A Force Awakens, Finn is told you can join that guy's crew if you want. He's looking for people. He's got like that cool red helmet. It's like a big swoopy out the side, almost look like a hammerhead shark with a big
yeah. When they're in, it's not the Mos Eisley. It's the new Mos Eisley. Oh shit,
were there Mazes?
Yeah, Mazes.
Yeah. So Crimson Corsair, and so there's a story. Where they're going after a treasure from the Clone Wars, that it was Dooku's ship.
Oh, that's nice.
And so it's called like the treasure of Count Dooku or something. I think it is. And so it's like little things like that where he takes his crew out, and spoilers a little bit for people. It ties into a story that was supposed to be in the 7th season of Clone Wars that never came out, that I assume is going to at some point, but it's there's like 4 stories. There were arcs in Clone Wars that are still considered canon, even though they haven't officially fully come out.
Okay.
One is Dark Disciple book. One is the Ahsoka book. The third one is this one about the clone troopers.
Yeah.
Where one of the clone troopers, I want to say it's the medic from Clone Wars, discovers the Order 66. Discovers it. And is captured by Dooku. So he doesn't go and tell the Jedi. And so they have him in stasis on his ship, and the ship wrecks. So that ends up being what is the treasure of Dooku, that's been legend. they actually thaw out and rescue one of the clone troopers.
That's so cool.
From Clone Wars, and he joins their crew. And it's like, yes!
Okay, so that's the other thing, too, I will say I really love, is that they brought in one of the clones from Clone Wars and Rebels. And I love Rex. And here's, I've watched Clone Wars sporadically, even with on Netflix. Well, again, part of it is, it's all it's not in order. So
it's kind of weird how they did that.
Yeah, and because again, I think, I have not read any interviews or anything like that, but my knowledge of the show in general, and looking at it, I got a sense that first season George was super involved. Like, this is what you need to do, giving diction. In season 2, I think Fellaini and the group just kind of started like, George, we need this approved. Do you approve it? Yes. All right. And then they kind of did their thing.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, the show really started to really groove. And that's the vibe I've gotten from the episodes I've seen. Oh man.
I kind of get the feeling like they told this long story, and occasionally they'll be like, hey, that thing we referenced, we should go back and tell that story. And they kind of like would go back and do like a 2-episode thing about a thing that they'd only referenced previously, because they realized they should have told that story.
Right.
It seems like there's like a lot of that going all the way through the whole thing, because it is kind of chunky.
And the other thing with, because Rex, that's fine, but then what happened to his band, that group, the other clones, and they bring him out, and they did survive that one, but they lost a lot in the process. Well, one of them is kind of nuts. Yeah, because I just remember he's the one, like, he's very technically, I just remember he was one always kind of piloting the inside of the radar and stuff like that, but he was kind of loopy.
Yeah, well, that was the one who went nuts. The one who... That turned out that Order 66 was like frying its brain.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, and like that's how the medic ended up finding out about everything, and that's why.
Oh, okay. Did they show that in Clone Wars?
Part of it.
Part of it. Okay, and I gotcha.
The final part of that was supposed to be in the season that didn't go through, which was the Ventress story, which is in Dark Disciple.
Okay.
And it was the Ahsoka story, and then it was the 501 story.
Yeah.
It was supposed to wrap up all 3 of those. I'm not sure if there was I'm sure there was an Anakin story in there. There's like a 4th one, because they always worked in one of them. But
oh man, but I absolutely love that they brought the clones back and they answered that. Now again, that's one of those episodes I could have just watched them for an hour and do stuff like that. And a lot of fun, because actually it kind of became a mini Jaws for they're on that barge and they're kind of working through their shit together. Rex is good, but Rex is trying to get through to them, which is like, we want no part of this. And also they kind of lightly dance around Order 66 a little bit too. They don't come right down, delve right into it. Which again, it's just like, I want to know more. Show me. But that's what a great job they're doing on that show. Like they want you want to see an hour-long episode of some of that stuff, which is just, it's so good.
So speaking of that, what do you want to see? Because now all the articles are coming out right now, and of course there's probably going to be a trailer coming out in a week or 2 for Celebration.
Okay. And all season 4?
Yeah. And all the articles are coming out like 15 things Rebels has to do in season 4, and most of them I'm like, no, shut up. I don't care if I don't care if Han Solo shows up in Rebels. It doesn't.
I'm not gonna lie. I want them to stop doing some of that. Like Mon Mothma kind of makes sense, but I think I even asked you because I was confused by that. I was like, and I watched it like twice. I was like, I'm missing something, because they know that she's working, or she stood up in the Senate and kind of complained about what the Empire was doing. And then the season finale, it's like, I can't risk myself. I almost got caught before. I was like, wait.
And to me, that's one of the things that I really need to see in the new season is the Senate. The people in the rebellion that are part of the Senate are still part of the Senate in Rogue One.
Yes. And New Hope.
Right. And into A New Hope. So if she has come out and is unifying these people already in Rebels, how much time is in between that and Rogue One? Say maybe a year or 2 at the most.
Yeah. And again, though, the show, it's kind of like The Walking Dead in that regard. Yeah. the show's been on for like what 9 years, or feels like 9 years. I mean, I like Walking Dead, but sometimes it feels like it's 9 years. But in reality, it's only been like what 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. Well, it was it Breaking Bad took place over the whole span of whatever it was, the amount of time
he had left to live.
He had left to live.
It was like, it was like a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, that they said in the first episode.
Right. And so the passage of time is very different in the show.
Right.
Yeah, and I get that. So, but yeah, I'm fine with that. Like, sometimes I'm okay with them bringing some characters back. Like, and again, but it's not characters from the trilogy.
Although I was fine with Leia.
No, Leia's different.
When they got the Hammerheads, because she's in the rebellion.
Yes, and that to me is acceptable. Senator Organa is acceptable. Mm-hmm. Mom Mothma is even acceptable. But again, for me, I wouldn't mind seeing the political side of things a little bit, because they are the rebels. Mm-hmm. And also, I think it would be this is me. But again, Disney won't let them do this.
Sure.
I would mind fuck them a little bit, which is the season premiere would just be there's nothing about Kanan, nothing about Ezra. Mm. Star Wars, da 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 da, and you just cut it, and you're in the Senate. And the whole episode, you just deal with that. And maybe the next episode, same thing, and then you ducktail it.
I feel like at this point they could get away with that, because with 4 seasons in, you've got your audience.
That's true.
You're generally not attracting new people out of nowhere, which is generally why they're probably going to... I'm going to be very curious if they announce this as the last season at Celebration, because it did take a little while for this pickup.
It did, yeah, because they picked it up midway through last season.
Yeah, and with Dave being now story editor, or animation director, not just over the show, that I wouldn't be surprised if they're putting something else into production and winding this down.
But I wouldn't mind more Senate or just political stuff, because that's also a fascinating front that we've not really got into, and I don't. God love him. I really don't want to see Ezra and that gang get in with that, just so I can see it, because it's kind of Ezra's story, and I respect that. But at this point, it's also, you're kind of telling the rebellion story. But the story group might not approve that, because they might do other stuff. I get that. But we don't need Han. No. We don't need Chewie. We already saw Chewie in the fucking Clone Wars, and I don't want to see... I'm sorry, like, that's cool.
Chewie was in the Clone Wars, so that's fine.
Yeah, but again, at that point... again, that's the problem with Star Wars. Sometimes it's like... obligatory cameo. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't want to see probably any of that. Like, even Obi-Wan was well done. Mm-hmm. And again, if it was an hour-long episode, he might have overstayed his welcome. Yeah. So that's a downside if I got my wish on that one. So, but I don't want to see Han Solo.
I think Obi-Wan's done on the show. I think they had their thing.
Oh no, he is done. I think the way that interview you sent me, where he was just like, he's now just going to focus on Luke, and there's no need to... Ezra's not going to betray Obi-Wan's secret out there like that. So
see, that's what I'm curious. I'm wondering if it wouldn't be just a powerful ending. If I think one or the two of them, at least one of the two of them has to die. Yeah, well, if not both.
Something else to think about: the Black Saber was on the planet that got killed on Rogue One, the end planet.
Well, it was the files for it.
Oh, was it just the files?
Yeah, it's just the files.
Oh.
That was just the data. That was just the archive.
So for some reason, I thought it was archive as in data and actual specimens.
I think it was just data.
Okay, never mind then, because I was watching, I was like, Dark Saber. I know, because they showed the trailers like later this season on Rebels, and you just say, is that the Dark Saber, Sabine? And you're just like, they just said that in Rogue One. They said it in Rogue One. Yeah. Yay. And then they showed, I was like, that's awesome. Dark Sabers are cool. Well, that was my favorite mod you could do on the original Star Wars Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight. You could change your color of your saber to a black saber, and I was like, that's fucking rad. Yeah.
I'm curious, what I would like to see is at least one of the two of them get
killed off
at Vader's castle.
That would be interesting. Now, would that be like a final fight for them, obviously, but like, what's in Vader's castle that they would be there? Are they trying to do a full court attack, full court press?
If they have to do an attack on him, or if they have to like go for something or whatever, or if he takes them there. But that's one of the things of, in the story officially is that Vader would take Jedi to his castle to torture and kill them.
I did not know that. That's creepy too. Yeah. That place is spooky shit.
Right. That was the last place many Jedi saw.
Okay. Oh, man. Yeah, that would be... And we know Hera survives, at least to the battle.
At least to the battle.
We know that Chopper as well, but we don't know who else. We don't know if Sabine, we don't know... Actually, the rest of the crew. I will say this, if anyone does die, it will probably be Calum.
Yeah.
Which I hate to say that. Matter of fact, I actually think it would be better if Calum survived. Like, actually, that would be the tragedy, is that out of everyone, it's Chopper, Hera, and Calum.
Yeah.
But that, again, I like sad, depressing shit that moves me. Granted, I mean, as long as you do it well, of course.
Well, and if he became the Grey, like...
was that the guy from Force Awakens? Who's the Grey? I'm sorry.
The big... Oh, God, I'm going to mispronounce it. Beru, or whatever it is. The huge... the guy that... Tom from Doctor Who voiced. The guy who took out Thawne by turning into a lightning cloud.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
Beru, or whatever. I think
yeah. And that was... I didn't know what side... I mean, that was good, too. Like, that whole thing. I still don't know what the payoff for that is, necessarily.
Right. And that's what I'm wondering, if that's Kanan's story.
Oh.
If they're entwined.
I get what you're saying. So, would you like... So, okay, yeah. Now, I don't think Thrawn's done yet, either.
No, he's coming back.
Especially after his warning of his What I See.
Well, Thrawn is also referenced in the Aftermath books.
Is he you can say spoilers. Is he... I don't need... Is he alive or dead?
It's not
or it's vague.
Specifically said.
Okay.
But his mission... for the Emperor is referenced.
Okay.
He's his work for the Emperor, and it comes out. The book comes out, I guess, this Tuesday. The new Thrawn book.
Okay.
And there has been pieces out there already, but they talk about how his job is he knows the unknown regions, and he can chart them for the Emperor. Which is kind of hinted at a little bit with Rebels, and it ties in with the fact of in the original story, where he comes into his own after Return of the Jedi, that he's in a nebula region, an unknown region.
Okay.
So if he's now charting the unknown regions, which is where in Force Awakens they say the First Order comes from the unknown regions.
Oh.
So I'm thinking... This, you know what I mean? It's like one of those things where Thrawn says that in one of the excerpts they put in the book, and obviously the Emperor. It's one of the interesting things. I don't know how much it was in the original extended universe, but how xenophobic Star Wars actually is.
Oh, interesting.
It's in a lot of the stuff in the new thing, but how
they lightly touch on a little bit with some of the other. Not Calum. Calum was kind of a little bit at first with Thrawn, but some of the people under Thrawn, I can't remember the girl, and the other. Matter of fact, oh my god, that fucking stupid idiot. Which, granted, good for him because yay for the rebels, but like, why would you move? He told you specifically not to move.
Yeah, there's a lot of xenophobia, and I mean it's like the language that they speak in Star Wars is called basic.
Yes.
Essentially. So everything has to be in basic, which is English, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's the fact that the government hates foreign tongues. It's when how Palpatine is so xenophobic and hates aliens and just disposes of them and their cultures throughout the movies, the books, and everything. It's just undertone. Look at it. Everyone in the Empires, all
uniform. They look the same. They act the same.
Pretty much white humans.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of used, whether that was intended at the very start, or if just like, hey, this is what we got. We're filming in England.
Yeah.
So, British accent bad guys.
And I also don't think that Britain was as accepting at the time. Like, if you go to Great Britain now, like, they're having their own set of political problems, but the problems they have, like, for example, Doctor Who, Mickey, like, was a main character right off the bat. You know what I mean? Very black, very diverse cast in all their shows. Like, we have problems with that on our 3 basic networks, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Ugh. So
that's funny. Like, how you talk about that, like especially like I guess I always view it as like character mirroring. Like what you said about how you thought of the character I mentioned having the blood virus as being a he initially.
Well, that's
character mirroring, and the fact that you kind of see yourself into a thing as if like writing, if I'm writing a thing. It's one of those things that sometimes I have to kind of get a little bit out of my headspace, be like, this isn't a white guy.
Yeah.
I just wrote a pilot script, and I kind of made a point to point out that like my character is an African American. It influences things later on, and plus I thought it was boring to have it be a white guy. But
yeah,
it's kind of
by the way, your Trump doorman for Trump script was so fun. Well, Jimmy told me, he's like, I can't tell you anything more about it. It involves a doorman, and but he let me read it, and it's phenomenal. I was like, and then you finally posted. I was like, oh, thank God. Matter of fact, I'll post it in the show notes if that's okay.
No, go.
Yeah. It's really funny.
Thanks.
For shame for SNL.
It's all right.
You don't want to deal. Matter of fact, you just. Well, you get a better show than SNL. No, I know that's probably the dream though. So I don't want to shit on your dream.
I would love. That's one of like a couple of writing goals I would have in my life. One would be like to get a sketch on SNL, or even just to get on Update. Because Update actually does take in contributors.
Oh, they do?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
They do take in contributors. The other would be to write for one of those like. From a certain point of view, Star Wars books, like take a background character and add something to canon.
Like those would be. Well, and correct me if I'm wrong on this. Didn't you used to work at DC at one point?
Yes.
Which that's fucking rad.
Yeah,
man.
I was essentially an intern, but they give you the title of art director.
Is that really what? That's cool.
That way they don't pay you. But
not cool.
Yeah. But I also got to say I was an art director at DC, and this was back in 2000. And having like a Warner Brothers business card kind of thing. This is like art director, or like I didn't have a card, but I had like a thing, like a name tag, whatever.
Yeah,
that I could at least show. And I got into so many different recruiting events. Like I crashed. I wasn't being paid, obviously. I was crashing 3 to 4 recruiting events a week. Just by showing that, even though I wasn't on the list, and they would just let me in, and I would just eat from the buffet, have like 3 beers, and then go home, like at least 3 to 4 nights a week. So I was just eating out for free on every.
What kind of stuff do they have you doing as an intern?
Oh, sure.
I'm curious about it.
The original Watchman toys that Alan Moore pulled, I designed the cards for.
Oh, wow.
I got to play with the toys that only exist in prototype. I did a bunch of stuff for Sandman. Quotable Sandman book. I did the layout for that.
Oh, my God.
Helped design for the Goldie plush toy. Batgirl animated statue is my design.
Nice.
A bunch of stuff in like in-house ads and some spreads.
Because I know you do some marketing stuff for Mad Lab too, don't you?
Yeah. I took over like as like brand director a couple of years back, kind of like around the time Jim took over, and kind of help give a unify a lot of stuff and set up deadlines. That's what I want, some stuff.
That's so cool.
It's we need volunteers. What are you gonna?
No, yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Do you ever? That's so fascinating. I'll talk about that later.
Sure.
Not on this one. Sorry, because we've been talking for over an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, so to Uninception there, and so Star Wars episode or season 4 of Rebels.
Yeah.
We wouldn't mind seeing some characters maybe die.
I want to see Cassian. I want to see Cassian.
Yes.
Fulcrum.
Yeah.
To me, that's the one that makes the most sense. It's like I know people say Jin, but like Jin, Jin, in my opinion, could cross over to young Han Solo, and I think that would be okay. But I don't see her in Rebels. I feel like that's too much of a. Nah.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't see that happening.
At this point, Saw has abandoned her.
Yes.
So I think we need to see Saw again.
that was the one thing I actually didn't. That was a character earlier. I was like, I don't mind if they would bring him back because I feel like, man, you got fucking Forrest Whitaker, and you even had him come back on Rebels, which I was probably part of his deal.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's such a waste of a brilliant actor. Just for like, well, granted though, that movie changed so many times. He could have had a way bigger part, and we don't know. But from the final product, it was like that feels very wasted. So I would not mind him coming back. And
I still want to see why, and that's one of the things I want to see explained. As much as I don't always want to see how the sausage is made, but in this perspective, how he gets from where he was in the episode of Rebels from this time to having essentially a collapsed lung, missing a foot.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have either one of those things yet in Rebels.
That's true.
So to me, there's a story there.
Well, and yeah, and maybe that's something where maybe that's part of something they have down the pike and we don't know about yet, which is that maybe they may bring him back in Rebels, but it might be he might get like his own one-shot animated movie. Or
see, I thought that was actually going to come out with the Ghost of Geonosis 2 episodes.
Yeah,
and it's something they referred to in the Art of Rogue One. Is this breathing apparatus is from like the poison from Geonosis. So if all this time investigating stuff on that planet, that he has breathed in enough of the poison that they use to exterminate all the bugs.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things too that's really well done. Is that all ties into the Catalyst book? Okay, which is the Rogue One prequel. And that book is all about Galen Erso and Director Krennic. Yes. And obviously it's not really a spoiler because if you've seen Rogue One, but yeah, and a little Grand Moff Tarkin.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
But yeah, it's it's all the behind the scenes political empire stuff.
Now was his
and Peggle the Lesser, was
his wife Jedi in that one, or because she wasn't in the movie, but apparently they shot stuff where she was a Jedi.
Yeah, she is not. She's actually a very, very cool character in the book. She is essentially, she's an archaeologist looking for, she's like studying crystals somewhat. She's not as into them as Galen, but she is unearthing excavations and looking up old cultures and stuff as like a little bit of an Indiana Jones in the Star Wars universe.
That's cool.
And in some of the stuff, basically, Krennic is kind of sending her to look for planets where they think there might be Kyber.
Krennic.
Yeah, he's more of a manipulative bastard in the book than he is in the movie, and you can see how it's kind of like how. I mean, he's almost like Sean Puffy Combs with Biggie. He's like he knows he's got a superstar and he's going to ride his coattails as much as possible.
Oh yeah.
And without him, he's not as good. But.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things that he is just... He's got this guy as a superstar that's brilliant, but isn't good at manipulating political stuff. And Krennic is good at political, but wasn't as good at science. So he's, in an all-white uniform as a science officer, just like a certain Grand Admiral. Who happens to have Death Troopers with him.
No, I forget, is Dark Forces... That's Star Wars Legends now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because the Death Troopers, I think, were introduced in the game. Like, that was the whole thing, is that they were building Death Troopers, and then your guy, it's not Kylo, it's Kyle?
Yeah.
Kyle something or other. He shuts it down, which I just remember I thought was so cool. I was like, I don't need Doom. I got Star Wars.
Yeah, it was a cool idea. And the coolest thing about Shadows of the Empire was it introduced Black Sun.
Yes.
Which, I guess Shadows is a different tie-in, I think. There's a couple of them around the same time. They're all kind of at the same time, but yeah. And we know Black Sun exists in the universe. They have been referenced.
Do you want to see Black Sun in Season 4 of Rebels? Or like maybe not something like very full force, but maybe something at the end. It's like this one character is actually part of Black Sun, and then it leaves a thread open for something later.
I feel like Black Sun might be better worked into the Han Solo stuff.
Okay.
I mean, granted, it would have been perfect if they did do the Boba Fett standalone, but thank God they didn't, because I don't care for. I think Josh Trank would have been terrible.
I honestly, I also don't understand what the big deal with Boba Fett is. I mean, not especially after I saw the second trilogy. It made me actually care less about Boba Fett.
I'm Team Bosk.
Yeah. So,
although actually, I don't know. After reading Aftermath, it might be Team Dengar, which I did not see coming.
Okay.
They give Dengar an arc.
Wow.
Through 3 books that I was not expecting. Dengar.
Yeah. Like, how's that even?
The guy who, like, they were like, I don't know, we're put a fucking diaper on his head and have him stand on the Death Star or whatever. In Empire. Or just the Executor, I guess it would have been.
Any other closing things you want to see on Rebels, though, in Season 4? Besides that?
I mean, obviously they've teased it, but the Mandalorian War is coming.
Yes, and see, if you go by the Legends book, that happened years and years and years before, like before the Jedi fell, the Mandalorian Wars happened. So that's fascinating it is slowly building up to that, and I like that twist too. Like, I kind of wish that Sabine didn't join her family right away. Mm-hmm. I felt like they were kind of doing thematically a Han Solo moment in the final episode, and they did, which is fine. But I was like, I kind of would have liked to. I think again, anytime a show throws off, because it's a show, you have to kind of reset at the end of every episode. And I was like, oh, she's gone for a few episodes. And I thought, man, if you can go into the next season doing that too and then bring her back, I thought. But again, they still did a really good job of that, and the way they worked her mother, and that half hour was really well done.
And they worked that group of Mandalorians' armor to be what the original Stormtrooper armor was supposed to be.
Yes. So, so cool. And actually, it was nice to see a space battle.
It was.
Too, where Ezra's on the ship and doing lightsaber stuff on space.
It's different.
Who is the droid? With Chopper.
The guy. All I can think of with him
is Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
I know.
I looked him up.
It's not. But it feels like they're very doing a direct nod to his Marvin, the robot.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Well, but that was actually a good episode too, because it's like no one. I like those little ones. Sometimes it feels like one little one-offs, but also they set up the different type of droids.
Oh yeah.
Or the probes.
Yeah.
Where I was like, that's fucking terrifying, because I know the other probe droid was like an Empire.
Yeah.
He pops its head out, boop, boop, boop. It looks like a weird octopus thing floating around in the sky. It has guns, but it's pretty weak. But yeah.
Then it ties into the fact that like Thrawn, that's how he narrows down the systems.
Yes,
he's so smart
good.
and such a good tactician.
I would like to see Thrawn come back. I know he will, but I would kind of hope he still says kind of as a main bad guy. I don't know if they will or not.
I like him as it's one of the I can't remember who it was, one of the Batman editors when I was at DC said he's like, Joker should always be an event, and I feel that way about Thrawn.
Okay,
in the fact that he's like, you should never just be like, I need a villain, I don't know, have this be the Joker. It's like when it comes to Batman, Joker should always matter. It should always be an event.
Okay,
and I feel that way with Thrawn. The way they built him up, like. But can't just always be there, and they just get away from him.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that in honesty, he's actually been playing with them to see how they work. Right. And I think the first time he actually felt he had the upper hand, Kalen was right.
Yeah.
They will find a way to outsmart you. And granted, it was kind of from divine force-like being, but that probably has to piss Thrawn off a bit. Oh, yeah. So I think that there is still something to be said with that, and that could lead him further. Now, do I want to see him in every episode? No, because he was in every episode this season.
And I like how they used him that way. Like he kind of came in, in and out.
So if they did that, I'm going to be fine with even that. But I wouldn't mind if a character dies or two, and then I would like to see a little bit more of.
I guess the question is this a final season or is it just a fourth season?
Yeah, that's true too.
Colors it a little bit.
If it's the final season, then I want to see a lot of things wrapped up. Like And you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing something. So even if not all the characters make it, I want to see an episode that what happens with the Ghost crew, whatever's left during Rogue One. I want to see their POV of it, if it's possible.
I think that if that's the finale episode, that would be
phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Yeah, to me, that has to be the final episode, is Rogue One from their POV.
I agree. Now, if everyone makes it, though, that's the...
I think... Here's interesting. Here'd be my final question, then.
Sure, yes.
Is it more powerful with your rider hat on?
Yes.
Kanan or Ezra dying first? If let's say they both die.
Yeah.
Do you kill...
That's a hard one.
You know what I mean? Like, do you kill the Padawan and send Kanan off the deep end, or do you kill Kanan and send Ezra on some kind of...
That's hard, because Ezra... Oh, man, because the show's somewhat through Ezra's eyes, but then it's also through Kanan's eyes. As the well, no pun intended.
Yeah,
sorry, but like it follows him as the second kind of lead. Really,
it does.
Especially this season, which was I enjoyed. So because I don't the real bout would be if you kill Ezra first. Would he go nuts? I think that would be the arc of that, and that it's like he has to he has to be a Jedi about it, which is I can't be moved to anger for this. And then have him, if I did it that way, that's how I would go, which is where, so instead of rushing into like Darth Maul would, like, I'm going to come at you, Jedi, with everything I have, and then Obi-Wan's just very like zen about it and then kills him. I would hope, granted, he would die in the process, but I would hope he would have a response like that.
Yeah.
And you would have him internalize and externalize the struggle that you killed Ezra, and then he has to go, no. I have to do one, and if it shows him that's him just kind of opening himself up to be killed, I probably wouldn't do it that way. Again, it depends on what other stuff is going on, but I would do it that way. But then the other way is that Ezra is your kind of lead, and by theory you would have him survive it before he died. But again, if that would happen, it would have to be a sacrifice play for somebody else to... part of me is, if it ends with Rogue One, what if they crashed on the planet, or not the Ghost, but like they were in another ship and they crashed on the planet, or something else, and then they went with that. There's multiple things that they could do,
or they went and that's kind of things. Like I feel like it would be an interesting parallel if at some point Kanan sacrifices himself.
Yeah, first,
and then an opportunity presents itself, and Ezra rushes in to face Vader a la Luke.
And then it doesn't work out. Man. But does he, in the process, do something? Like, it's also kind of a sacrifice play, too? Or is it a little bit...
Could be it could be anything on that point. But
but the final death is him and Vader going at it. Oh, man. Well, or it will be, throwing this out there, it will not be... One of them will survive, and it'll be Ahsoka, because she did survive. I don't care. He can be coy, be the whole typical showrunner crap. Yeah. But I watched that clip a few times. You can see her running into the caverns as it collapses. I was like, I freeze frame it. God love it. And I was like, she's there. That, or they're doing that, and then they're gonna say she's dead, and then I'll be pissed. But
I feel like they all have to be dead going into Rogue One.
Yeah,
just because of the line Mon Mothma says to what's his face of Organa.
Yeah.
Of, what about your Jedi friend?
Yeah, that's true. So there's none left.
It's like why else would you send him?
Yeah, when you have these two other ones. Oh yeah,
that's why I think.
So,
because she knows they're Jedi.
Yes.
We have now established the fact in the end of season 3, she knows they are Jedi.
Yes.
She knows that they are not out of Jedi.
That's a good point. So, yeah, so really the ending, and then see, that as the writer would make me happy, which is that if they go maybe even in the middle of the season, it's really about Hera. And then it's about making Hera the general that she needs to be, and her and Sabine and Zeb. That's yes. So
yeah, I mean, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So, but you would have Kanan go first with your rider hat on, and then Ezra.
Yeah, because I would mirror why Luke is the one, not why Ezra is.
Kanan thinks that kinda, but Ezra is not really aware of what's they're hoping.
Well, no, but I mean as far as the one to take out.
Well, right.
Vader is I would just kind of mirror a little bit.
Okay. Well, Yoda. Well, they don't even really tell Luke exactly that either in the trilogy too. They talk around him about it, but so they kind of do it. Well, no, Kanan does it to himself or to Hera in Rebels. So, okay. Well, so season 4 when it comes out, we'll definitely circle back around, or we'll do another Star Wars movie. I think is it this Christmas?
Yeah. Last Jedi.
Yeah,
which hopefully that is coming out pretty soon. The trailer because should be at Celebration. Yeah,
celebrate. When's Celebration again? It's being in May. 15th? Oh, it's next week.
15th.
And when they do that, it's going to be tied into Guardians too, because that's their Disney's big other franchise. What you pop it on their next big summer movie.
Oh yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me that, or they release it at Celebration, and at that point they tag it to a few other movies, but then they maybe do a second trailer for Homecoming.
They did last time. They did a teaser and then the first trailer. So they might do the teaser at Celebration and the first trailer with Guardians.
Wasn't the teaser 2 ending with Chewie? We're home.
Han, it's true.
Oh,
all of it.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's what it was. All right. Well, do you have anything you would like to plug officially here at the end of the show?
Let's see, I guess, I don't know, just check out my website, I guess. I've got links to all the stuff I've written, including the Doorman sketch that Nick mentioned earlier.
Yes, so funny.
A lot of film sketches, written sketches, individual satire jokes and stories that have been published on various websites like McSweeney's Internet Tendency and Robot Butt. Yeah, so check that out, including, there's even videos of me in my underwear, because, do anything for comedy.
Dude, that's good, though. You need to be fearless for that kind of thing.
Vanity must be the first thing you sacrifice.
Can I, this is how insane my brain, so I did Sketchy Sex at Mad Lab.
Yep.
And
Nick was fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I really wasn't doing that for nope. Tell me more.
Oh, you didn't have to fish, but you caught something.
Oh, thank you. But I did. So, no, but one of the things is that I am very weird. So, like, we're moving, so it doesn't look great. But my wife, this is freaking her out right now. But being a guy, I'm a little bit slavish at times. But if you would, so there was one moment where the whole cast has to lay down on the floor during one of the sketches.
Okay,
we get knocked out and we go down on the floor.
Okay,
yeah, the sperm sketch. Yeah, Laura Croft.
I don't remember which one that was.
For those in the audience, just know we all lay on the floor, and that. My brain, I am a little OCD when it comes to some things, even though I'll, I might not dust for a bit. I don't mind dust, but when it comes laying down on the floor or anything like that, I would just start kind of and then you're wearing black because that's what you do in theater. Right. You wear black pants, black shirt. So I'm like, do you see the dust? Shane, wipe the dust off my back,
I've been on that floor so many times.
Right. No, and you guys are awesome. You did Keith and Marianne, who is in It's All But Done With Us.
Yes.
You were Keith, actually, and FFN's Date Night, which is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
And then I forget who played me, but I have all my tokens of love of paper towels.
Matt Stout.
Yeah. Yeah. So
towels.
Good. So good. I was only sad we didn't get to see how I got out of jail, but I don't know. I'm actually kind of glad I'm stuck in jail.
I'll tell you, if they didn't call it then, I had a scene I was about to run out with.
Yeah.
I remember this, and I was going to kill you.
As Keith, or was it as...
Well, no, as... Because I did come out... No, I came out as Keith at one point, didn't I?
Yeah, well, everyone came out at one point. I think Wooza came out as the cat again. You were...
No, I wanted to jump out. Actually, I wasn't going to kill you. I was going to make your wife a murderer.
Oh.
I was going to come in as your cellmate. Because remember they were talking about dynamite, they were going to blow up.
Oh yeah.
I was going to be the guy. I was going to be your cellmate, standing at the window, describing the moon and how nice it looked, and the colors. And do you smell something? And I was going to essentially get blown up and make your wife a murderer, so she also had to go to jail.
Oh, yay.
Except they called it the scene before that. And I'm like, okay, I got an ending. And then the scene right before that was like so good. They called it. I'm like, Yep.
Okay.
The ending I just made up in my brain is just going to have to stay there.
Oh, man. It is so much fun. I'm so glad we got to do that because that was my first date night, which is at Mad Lab, where you can find out more when it comes out, madlab.net. Yeah.
And we have a June show coming up.
Oh, do you guys?
Which we always do like an experimental June show where we come up with some kind of new form or something. It's not nailed down exactly what it's going to be just yet.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like only 4 shows, but we do something.
Now, is it FFN or is it?
Yeah, still FFN.
Okay.
And we do it. It's more experimental. It's a weirder show usually.
Okay. Will it be on the Tuesday nights thing?
No, it's going to be Friday, Saturday, Friday.
Oh,
Saturday.
the big. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's like a bit of a reset between Roulette and Young Writers.
Gotcha. Okay. Very
so
cool.
that it's like something to kind of fill in there between those 2 huge productions with a lot of casts and stuff. So there's some breathing time between them.
Yeah. So which is funny. So I'll just end on this too. So please check out Erik's website. We were very serious up into this last little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Erik is an improv comedian, and he is fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Again, it was very serious Star Wars talk up until that last little bit.
That's what I was here for.
Oh, no, well, true, but yeah. So so if you're hearing the serious Star Wars talk, that's awesome. But know that he is a very funny guy, and we'll go to the website, read the sketches, check out the Fearless comedy, which I am not as fearless on. If I am, I'm a lot more.
Yeah, the night I had the idea for the Dad Bod video, the night beforehand. And I was like, oh god, I've got an idea for a sketch. We have to film it tomorrow, though.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me write it out. Let me see if it's funny. I wrote it. I'm like, god damn it, it's funny. I have to do this.
Yeah. See,
so I called up 3 other guys. I'm like, will you get in your underwear for me for a comedy sketch? And Stephen Woosley being one of them.
Woosley, I feel always is prone to just jump into underwear or lack there.
Yep. And then his brother,
does
Sean.
He still do music?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Greg, who is on
McGill?
hiatus right now, but he's from Hashtag.
Oh, from Hashtag. Okay.
And we crushed out a video in a day. I had it all online the next day. We got ahead of SNL and Daily Show by a week before they had anything done on Dad Bod. And
nice.
Won a couple awards, got some money from it.
Yay.
So, got enough money to pay for getting things submitted to places to try to win money.
Well, I'll post the link to that in the show notes too. Website.
ErikSternberger.com.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks very much for listening. Erik, thank you for coming out, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Get out of here without cheese! You're a creep! Go away! We're having a good time until you start up, cheapers! Go have some coffee with cream or something! Because I'll tell you something! This is a happy place!